So we're here at 50 plus. I presume you've come to this show because you're looking at options for life. And for whatever reason you found yourself in this section, interested in turning a holiday experience into a lifetime experience. So what makes a great holiday? If you think about it, imagine there was a genie here right now, and he was able to offer you one wish for your holiday. I'd be really careful if I were you what you wish for. It's like the man who found the magic lamp. Genie comes out, I'll grant you one wish. What would you like? He said, I want all women to love me. And bang, he's turned into a bar of chocolate. I think before you make that wish, it's interesting to go back in time. So you go back to your childhood, to your best, most memorable vacations, those experiences that you've treasured for your whole life. And I'm guessing that those holidays, you were not by yourself. I'm guessing you were with your friends and family. And probably the more friends and family, the better the experience. In my case, I'm 54. Back in my childhood, obviously, like most people here, before the days of cheap travel, we spent our summer holidays on a farm. But they were wonderful. We didn't have even extra special weather, no swimming pool even, no beach, but we had a great time. And the one holiday that I remember from my childhood, probably even better than those ones, was a summer camp. I was 11 years old. Probably it was memorable because it was where I got my first kiss. But it was memorable for many other reasons as well. Because from a child's perspective, we want different things than we think that we want when we grow up. We want to make friends. We want to be with friends. We want to try new activities. We want a feeling of freedom. And most of all, we want a shared experience. Because when you're by yourself, things just don't make the same, or they don't bring the same joy as when you're with people that you really love, right? So let me fast forward to you. Early this year, January, a very cold afternoon, and I met up with an old friend, Gil. It was cold, wet, dark, and we met for coffee for the first time in over 10 years. We've been friends for many years, but during those 10 years I was living in Spain and we sort of got drifted apart. We stayed in touch every now and again, but as with all old friends, you meet up and it's as if time has never passed. And Gil started telling me about a concept he and his partner Patricia had been working on. And he said it was a resort for the over 50s, for the 50 plus. He said it was sort of like a summer camp all year round. And he said that if he had died tomorrow, he would die content, having felt that he had done something worthwhile. This really intrigued me. And the next day, 4 o'clock in the morning, I got up, I got on a plane at 7 o'clock, and I went out to Sun Park in Lanzarote. Now, you don't need to. I arrived at Sun Park in, this is in Playa Blanca. I didn't even know where I was going, to be honest. And I went purely on what Gil had told me. And Sun Park is it's on the south part of Lanzarote. It's got a spectacular climate, Lanzarote. I don't know if you know. I lived in the Costa Blanca for 10 years. I still have a villa there. And It's a great climate, but nothing compared with Lanzarote, where it's a temperate climate the whole year round. But that's not just what makes this place special. It's not just the climate. It's not just the location, where it's 5 minutes from the beachfront. And at the beachfront, it's got a promenade going for miles in both directions. It's not just special because it's got beautiful gardens and a beautiful pool. It's special for something else. And that I put down to, here's Lanzarote, I put down to an ethos. So what do I mean from an ethos? An ethos it's a spirit of a community. It's a guiding belief that we all have and what we live our lives by. And what makes the ethos at Sun Park so special? Number one is its friendliness. So within 5 minutes of me arriving, I'm sitting down on the terrace overlooking the gardens and the pool with people I'd never met before who have since become good friends. Very rare do you experience anything like that anywhere else. In cities today, we walk around, we don't even look up at someone, never mind say hello, for fear that we're mad or we're going to be mugged. In a place like this, with the ethos that it has, people have a genuine interest in wanting to know you, regardless of how you look, what you're wearing, even what your age is. And I compare this with part of my stay there. I'm a writer, and I would go down to the marina and start writing. And one day, a lady came and sat on the table next to me with two of her friends. She's in her mid to late 60s. They were very happy. And it turned out that she had been renting a place on Lanzarote for the past 2 months. She was staying there for the whole winter. Very comfortable, flat screen TV on the wall, very nice apartment. But she hadn't spoken to a soul for 2 months. And the reason she was so happy and so excited was her two friends had just arrived to spend a week with her. Well, months later, so I went to this place, Sun Park, for a long weekend. I ended up staying there for 3 weeks, and I went back 2 months later. When I went back, I'm walking along the front, having just done some of my writing, and I bump into this lady again. She's by herself, sitting in a coffee shop, friendless. See, this is not a way to have a happy experience. Later on during my visit, I'm walking around this whole resort, and a lady and her husband were sitting on a terrace. Actually, she's here. And she said hello. We started talking, and she said, "Do you want a cup of tea or a glass of wine?" I sat down with her and her husband. A few minutes later, there's 3 or 4 other people sitting with us. We're just chatting. We're there for a couple of hours. What's so special about the ethos is that it's very inclusive. So there's no cliques. Whatever's going on is open to everybody. It's an invitation to you. There's only one rule when you're there, really, and that rule is just be respectful to other people. You do whatever you want, so long as you're not going to annoy other people. But there is part of the ethos is being part of the community. So you're involved, you can be involved from day one. You're never by yourself. If you want to be by yourself, as I did it many times, to write, to have a schluff, to read, afternoon nap, for those of you who don't know what schluff is, you can do that. But you're never by yourself. You wander into the bar. Here's another great thing. Where do you find a bar where there's no bartender? There's no one there to make sure you pay your money. Here, it's based on trust and honesty. You put your euro in, you take your drink. It's a lovely way to live. And so I go back to my question, I think. What makes a great holiday? Most of us, what we want from a holiday, I believe, is what we want from life. Yeah? We want to be happy. But what makes happiness? And what is happiness? Let me go forward. Happiness is defined as many things, but Richard Layard of the Happiness Foundation, he defines it as enjoying life and wanting it to continue. That's a really simple thing. So if you've had a happy holiday, you've enjoyed it so much, you want to continue. And people enjoy it so much that many of them end up living there or spending most of the time there. And many go back, as I did. Because when you go back, you're going back to friends. Many people have more friends at this resort, whatever time of year they go, than they've got back at home. You know, the amazing thing is, in the UK, over 2 million people over the age of 70 never speak to a soul for 30 days at a time. This is really bad. It creates depression, it creates loneliness, and it creates, you age that much faster. It actually creates illness. But when you go to a place like this, where there is an ethos like this, where you're part of a community, where you can participate with everyone and even contribute. If you've got a skill or a passion and it's not available there, you just put it on the notice board, and the next day, I'll tell you what happened with me. I'm passionate about Tai Chi. I do Tai Chi every morning, wherever I go. So on my first day, we were chatting, I mentioned about the Tai Chi. The next day, this lady's with me with 3 other people. The following day, there were 40 people came down to share and enjoy the Tai Chi. But that's not just Tai Chi and what I do, it's for anything. If you're interested, you go and do it. If you're not, you'll find something else, and if you've got an interest in something, you just put it on the notice board, and if people want to do it, they'll come. You don't get that many places in the world, I think you're going to agree. So when we look for things when we make our wish for our holiday, we want to make it memorable. We want to make it happy. As I mentioned, I went to some park for 3 days, ended up staying for 3 weeks, and I've been back. But I'm not unique there. Many, many people do the same thing. The reason that we go back is because it's almost like being part of a family, where you're welcomed going back, and you've got people there who genuinely care about you. Extremely safe for single people because it's in a secure gated community, and literally if you need anything, you just ask anybody, and I think without exception they will help you, and they're happy to help you. And I'll tell you why. You know, in terms of happiness, people think, you know, we're led to believe as we grow up that to be happy we need bigger and better things, better house, bigger house, better car, money. You know, in all the research that's ever been done on happiness, in all the surveys ever been done, money accounts for less than 1% of increase in happiness. What changes us is what they call intentional activities. So in terms of happiness, our genes play a part, play between 33 and 50%. Circumstances play a part, but we adapt to circumstances. They go up and down. We have bad experiences, good experiences, and we adapt. I was with, years ago, with a friend of mine who was an alcoholic. One day he told me he bought himself a new watch, a Rolex watch, because he said that he thought it would make him happy. The very same afternoon, he realized that this watch was only ever going to tell him the time. It's not going to bring sustained happiness because we adapt to it. The only way to raise our level of happiness on a sustained level is what they call intentional activities. And I'll tell you what the top 3 ones are. Random acts of kindness. That's not doing it because of any reward. Just being nice to people, we feel better about ourselves, right? Gratitude. We've grown up with a feeling of entitlement a lot of the times, and as we grow more, we feel more entitled. We've paid for this, we feel entitled to certain things. But when we feel grateful, it changes the way we feel. And the fact that people here are actually contributing to the whole experience, we're grateful to them. But the other factor, there's many factors in intentional activities, but the other main one is friendship. Yeah? Because we are social creatures. We are better together than alone. And that is what makes this place, Sun Park, so special. Where you come and when I said at the beginning, a holiday experience for a life experience meaning that your life is enriched because of it. You come away changed in some way, with new friends, with learning new activities, with new passions, with new dreams. And that's a wonderful thing. One other thing I want to share with you, I'm going to go past this. Some quotes that I mentioned before. Let's just go past, which is George Valen, MD. They did at Harvard, 72-year study. They studied men throughout their entire lives, their health, their feelings, their happiness, and they find at the end of it, the only thing that really matters in life are your relationships with other people. But let me go forward. So what I've tried to do is distill some of this ethos in a parable, in a book that will be available. And I want everyone here, if you sign up on the stand, Z3, just next door here, you will be sent, when it is published, you'll be sent a link to download a free Kindle copy, which I'd love for you to have. That's all right. But the other thing is this. We're led to believe lots of things in life. Years ago, my attitudes changed when I stumbled across a man who was 65 years old backpacking around Europe. Compared him with other people that I know of his age, it was crazy. And he was the one that started me thinking about how I lived my life. And I ended up changing my career from a solicitor to a physical therapist, and I ran a natural therapy clinic. One day, this lady walks in. We became good friends. Her name was Doris. She was 74. She hobbled in. I said, "Doris, what's wrong?" She said, "My knee's killing me." What did the doctor say? He said it's old age. So I said, "You know what? That doesn't make much sense to me." She said, "Why not?" "Because your other knee's the same age, isn't it?" It's the way we live our lives. Now, in terms of aging, what they find in that study I mentioned before, George Valen, genes account for 25% of how well we do in terms of aging, our health and wellness in life. And oftentimes, the people that are doing well in their midlife are not necessarily the same people that are doing well in later life. But they find 75% of what affects us into our old age. Now remember, let me share this. When I was 11 years old, I was sent to boarding school. And one day, I honestly had an anxiety, wouldn't call it a crisis, but I thought, you know what? I've got 70 years. That's only 59 more summers, 59 more Christmases, you know. And that's what we taught in school, in Bible class, The age of man is 70 years and 10. Thankfully, we don't live in biblical days anymore. In actual fact, 1 in 5 of us is going to live to 100. And people born today, 1 in 3 people are going to live to 100. We're living longer, but we're not interested really in living longer. We want to live more full, more meaningful lives. And that's what we can do if you learn how to look after yourselves. And there are scientific studies showing how simple things affect us. And so one of the things we're going to be launching at Sun Park is a Rejuvenate program, a week-long workshop where you come and learn these things for 1 week and hopefully go away with something that's going to change all of your future years. Everything in life, I believe, it works on the base of cause and effect. We can't escape it. You drop an apple, boom, falls to the floor. There's a law of gravity. There's laws of happiness. There's laws of relating to anything. I don't think things will happen by chance, but it's like you're like a sailing boat. It doesn't matter which way the winds are blowing. So long as you control those sails, you can go in your direction, so long as you decide what direction you want to go in. And that is why I would highly, highly recommend that you just take a look at something different, where you're not focusing on the things that are good. Great accommodation is good, great surroundings are good, but you're looking at the things that really matter to your life and to the people around you. And that is when you turn a holiday experience into a life experience. Thank you very much.